So you're finally ready to take your photography seriously and maybe even turn it into a real business. But beyond taking good photos, where do you actually start? Do you need a website? Do you need a dancing TikTok account? Or do you need a perfect portfolio straight away? And I'll be honest, I'm right there with you. I'm also guilty of being busy, spinning my wheels on things that feel productive but don't actually bring in clients, like creating logos, tweaking my website a million times, and posting on Instagram 5 times a day. But what we should be focusing on is things that are actually going to get us booked. So in this video, I'm going to be cutting through the noise and breaking down exactly what you need to have in place when starting a photography business for both practicality and for your sanity. Hi, if this is the first time that YouTube's introducing us, my name's Tracy from Red and the Wool Photography and Design, and today I'm going to be simplifying things and going through it bit by bit. So let's just get straight into the content. Part 1 is the only 3 essentials you actually need to get started. Before you start stressing about getting websites and branding and stuff like that, let's start with the 3 bare essentials: people getting in touch with you and a basic portfolio. If potential clients can't find you or book you, you've essentially lost the game from the get-go. Number 1 is a way for clients to contact you. So we're talking about things like a professional email, for example, and shutterbuglove_1992, I'm looking at you. I'm talking about something professional, so it would be your company name at gmail.com, for example. And just in case you were wondering, yes, there are actually a lot of businesses, especially a lot of small businesses out there, that are starting with Gmails at the moment. And a clear call to action on your social media platforms. So something like DM me for bookings or link in bio to inquire. Number 2 in this section is a portfolio to showcase your work. Now look, you don't need a fancy website. What you need is a clean, professional looking, curated collection of your best work. So for example, this could be a 1-page Squarespace site. It doesn't need to have all the bells and whistles. It just needs to have your portfolio on there and a here's how to contact me. And Squarespace comes with a bunch of free templates, so you don't even need to be all that tech savvy. And now following on from that, if you're using a platform like Pixieset, for example, which is a great way to get your galleries to your clients, they also offer beautiful template-driven websites that, again, you can just plug and play and you don't need to be that tech savvy to use them. Or if these are outside your budget, don't overlook the simplicity of using Instagram. It's a great way to curate your best images to create a portfolio online for your work. Now, a couple of quick tips here. Number 1 is quality over quantity. If you have 10 really good images, use those rather than 50 mediocre ones. And number 2 is focus on the type of photography that you actually want to get hired for. There's no point putting up a bunch of really pretty flowers if what you want is to be a wedding photographer. And number 3 in this section is social media. I'm going to argue that in this day and age, it's imperative for you to have a social media presence of some description, even if you don't have a website. But more isn't better, strategic is better. Instead of trying to be everywhere on all of the platforms, doing dancing on TikTok and everything else, pick one platform where you think your clients are most likely to be hanging out. So for instance, you could be on Instagram or Facebook or even LinkedIn. So business clients, LinkedIn might actually be a viable option for you. My suggestion is always to have a Facebook page that's kind of the core or the baseline of everything you do, because most people expect these days for businesses to have a Facebook page. It's kind of like, it makes it legitimate, if that makes sense. And then have one other platform where you feel that most of your clients are going to be. Now, if you think most of your clients are going to be on Facebook, great. But if you think the majority of your customers, for example, are going to be on Instagram or LinkedIn, then make that your primary platform. Also, try and post relatively consistently. I'm quite bad at this, but it is something that I'm trying to work on more. Don't set yourself a schedule that's completely unrealistic. But for example, at the moment, I'm trying to put up like one post or a couple of posts onto my Instagram stories every day. So that's not a big thing, but if I do that every 1 or 2 days, at least I'm starting to build a habit of consistently putting myself out there. And lastly, use your social media to connect with clients, not just other photographers. Again, this is something I'm totally guilty of. I love connecting with other clients on social media, but clients. So, step 1, a professional email, a basic social presence, and a home field portfolio. Part 2, be prepared for when a client books you. When you're starting your business, getting inquiries can be really exciting. But it's when you get to the booking and actually working with the clients that things can go south pretty quickly. So before you take your first paying client, make sure that you've got your essentials in place. Number one, contracts, absolutely non-negotiable. Even if you're just starting out, a contract protects both you and your client. And if you're just starting out, let's be honest, your first client is quite possibly going to be a friend or a family member. And that feels kind of awkward when you're like, oh, here's the contract for you to sign. But think about it like it's good practice and say, hey, can you do me a favor? Can you review my contract because I'm trying to set all my ducks in a row? And just ask them if they can check for any typos, for example, or if everything's really clear, or if there's anything that's in there that they think maybe shouldn't be, or that there's something missing. So that way you can involve them in the process so it doesn't feel weird while also refining your contracts. So contracts need to cover things like cancellations, payment terms, and what happens if they're unhappy with the photos. It also helps to make sure that you're going to get paid, because you can put something in the contract that stops people from agreeing to work with you and then deciding the day before that, actually they've changed their mind. If you've got a contract, there can be a financial repercussion if somebody pulls out of the contract before the agreed time. And look, even a simple contract is better than none at all. You can find some great examples on places like Pixieset, I'll link that below, or even a free legal template can be a great start. And that leads nicely onto doing your invoicing and getting paid. If you don't have a clear payment process, it's going to be way too easy for your clients to put off paying you or not pay you at all. So you need to decide how you're going to actually accept payments. Now you might have some accounting software. I use a software here in New Zealand called Henry, HNRY.co.nz. I believe it's just becoming available in the UK, which I think is really cool. So when I talk to a client and we agree on doing something, I will send them an invoice directly from Henry. The bonus of this is that if I'm working with a client and they're like, hey, can I break that up into 3 payments? I'm like, absolutely. So then I can go into Henry and set up those 3 payments, and then they can just pay those invoices as per our agreed dates. You, however, may want to do something like PayPal or Stripe or bank transfers. So just make sure you get that decided and it's communicated to your client. Also, from a tax perspective, it pays to have everything written down and there's a paper trail for everything, which also means avoid cash at all costs if you're able to. And while we're talking about money, it's also really important to consider things like a booking fee or a deposit to book in specific dates. These are generally non-refundable, but it means that if somebody does pull out of the contract, that some of your time at least has been paid for. Part 3, and I like this bit, setting yourself up for success without burnout. When you're just starting out, it's really tempting to just say yes to everything. And I'm not discouraging that, by the way. I'm just saying that at some point you have to draw a line in the sand and go, no, I've done all my free work, I've done all my cheap work, and now this is me starting my business. You want the experience, the clients, and the income, but without clear boundaries, you're going to end up in burnout really fast. Setting up a few key systems from the start will actually help you stay in control, avoid difficult clients, and actually just enjoy running your business. Now, first things first, your secret weapon. Okay, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Your welcome pack and your pricing pack can be one of the best things that you can create for your business. Have you ever had a potential client ghost you? They're like, hey, I've seen your work, I really love it, I really want to work with you, how much do you cost? And then you send them your prices, and then crickets. A simple pricing guide or welcome pack can help you filter out clients before they waste both their time and your time. And this can be either on your website or as a document that they download before they even contact you. Now, it needs to include things like your pricing, frequently asked questions, how you work, and what clients should expect from working with you. It really helps to set really clear expectations before the process even starts. And this can include things like setting boundaries and policies. So for example, you don't have to be available 24 hours, 7 days a week. You could simply say, I am available during regular business hours. That way, clients don't expect a response at midnight, and vice versa, you're not going to be pinging their phone that's maybe right next to their bed and waking them up at midnight. And lastly, to protect your time and energy, this is something that I think should absolutely be put into your welcome pack so that you avoid scope creep. Clients will push boundaries, sometimes unintentionally and sometimes just to see how much free stuff they can get. And if you're not crystal clear on what's included in your services, you'll quickly find yourself overworked, underpaid, and feeling resentful. So you need to define the scope of what's involved in the projects that you're working on. So be specific about what's included, like the number of hours, the number of edited images, the delivery time, and also be really specific about what's not included in there. Extra hours, rushed edits, and raw files. The idea here is to recognize that people will push the boundaries and stop it before it starts. So for instance, your wedding package includes 8 to 10 hours, but they want you to stay till midnight, scope creep. Your standard delivery time is 6 weeks, but they want it next week, scope creep. And they suddenly want extra retouching on 50 photos instead of 10, scope creep. But there's a really easy way to get around this. In your welcome pack, you can have your packages that you do sell, but you can also put on like an a la carte menu, so then they can pick extra things that they may want. This way, clients know upfront that if they want more, they will have to pay more. It's simple, it's fair, it's stress-free, and it's all laid out from that very first welcome pack. Okay, now we're gonna move on to your files, because losing files is not an option. So we need to not lose them, and we need to deliver them nicely. Now, there's nothing worse than realizing that you haven't backed up a shoot and then you just formatted your cards, right? So if you're doing somebody's wedding and you can't repeat that, there could be some issues. My suggestion is this: store files in 2 places. When I come home, I take both cards out, I download them onto my computer, and then I upload them into Lightroom. From there, once everything's done, I make sure that the edited photos are then backed up to my backup drive. And as soon as I'm done with a client's gallery, I also upload it directly to Pixieset and get everything set up so everything is done and I can send it off to the client. And it looks amazing. I think it's a beautiful way for a customer to be able to receive their images. Now, Pixieset does have a free, I think it's 3 gigs. So you can actually start using that platform for free to send clients photos, and they do look awesome. So definitely check that out. I'll make sure I pop the link in the description below. So part 4, and I'll try and keep this short, is what not to focus on right now. Number 1 is endless website tweaks, and I'm fully guilty of this, so no judgment, but it's not a good use of your time. Once you've set it up, got the basics on there, move on to getting clients. Number 2 is getting lost in Facebook groups, because there are some really great Facebook groups on photography, but they can be kind of time consuming. And when you're looking at going from hobby to professional, you need to be starting to spend your time on helping clients rather than helping other people for free, unfortunately. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be part of those groups, just set yourself a time limit. Number 3 is over editing your images. Clients want solid images, and one of the best things that you can do for yourself is figure out your workflow before you start getting clients, because then you can talk to your clients about a much more realistic turnaround time. So really learn to nail in that workflow so that you can just get through things. Number 4 is chasing every new trend or every new piece of camera equipment. Also guilty, not gonna help you get clients. Just get it done, find you some clients, get some clients, and then you can go shopping all you want. Okay, so you've got everything done. What comes next? Once you've got all these basics in place, this is what your main focuses need to be. Improving your craft and strategically building your portfolio. Basically, keep shooting, experimenting, and refining your skills, because the better your work, the easier it is to attract clients. Be consistent on social media. Show up where your clients are hanging out already and be part of that conversation. But remember, don't get lost in just talking to other photographers. Like, actually try and get yourself in front of your potential clients as well. And lastly, marketing, marketing, marketing. Clients aren't just gonna magically find you. If you don't have any clients, you need to get them, which is where marketing comes in. If you are going to do free work, for example, because I'm not saying that you shouldn't, if you are going to do free work, make sure it's something that is specific to building your portfolio or that is specific to building your network. So this is actually what I'm going to do in next week's video. I'm going to be reverse engineering the exact clients I want and then looking to build a portfolio that speaks to those specific clients. So if you subscribe, it should pop up in your videos next week. Truly, success in photography is a mix of skill, strategy, and persistence. Keep it simple, stay focused, and most importantly, just start. And before you guys go, if you got this far, can you drop me a comment and let me know what's your biggest time waster when it comes to preparing your business? Like, what do you spend hours poring over or perfecting? And if it's Pinterest, that's okay too, because we all have addictions. And I'll see you guys in the next video.